Unafraid Show, Reister or Wrong, George Reister here, your man. I am here to help you make sure that you find the truth and you know what's real going on in these streets, man. Because people will sell you lies. They'll sell you lies all over the place. And here's where you come to find the truth. The truth, the way, and the light, man. Today, episode 209. So this is the mentality episode. Because we talked yesterday a little bit about the Rooney Rule, but I didn't realize how big a deal that this was going to be on social media. I didn't realize how much of an impact and what really people really thought about it. Not just Raiders fans, but just people in general. I thought about the Rooney Rule, which says that that each NFL team, when it comes to their GMs and their head coaching positions, when they're interviewing people, they have to at least interview people, minorities. And some people were upset about that. They didn't get it. They thought it was affirmative action. They thought all these things. So we're going to go over that as well. Guys, make sure you swipe up, share the feed, send in your comments, man. We'll get to those and make sure you subscribe. So we're going to get to the Rooney Rule because this is the mentality episode. And because I said the Raiders need to be punished for their violation of the Rooney Rule. And despite having a history of doing the right thing in terms of hiring minorities, women, and all that. The Cavs, their mentality, why they are losing. And it just makes sense. The Cavs are the worst defensive team in the NBA. Then they add Isaiah Thomas. He gets healthy. And then he's the worst defensive player in the league. And you think that they're going to get better? No. What did you think was going to happen? The NFL playoffs. Who do you trust? We're talking mentality there as well. So, but where we're going to start at today. Oh, and kids. Oh, my God. These damn kids. Because I have 4 kids. I know you guys have kids. We're going to talk about these damn kids. And like they're backwards ass thinking. So, first thing we're going to get to is the Raiders. Because I said the Raiders that they do need to be punished for their violation of the Rooney Rule. Because their owner, Mark Davis, came out and said that they agreed with John Gruden, that they made an agreement with John Gruden, who, before Christmas Eve, Jack Del Rio was still the head coach. That's not the problem. The problem lies in the fact that they did not interview minority candidates until after they already had an agreement with John Gruden and people started asking questions. They interviewed their tight end coach, Bobby Johnson, which... Tell me this, do you really believe, logically, do you really believe they interviewed Bobby Johnson for the head coaching position while Jack Del Rio was still the head coach? No. And they violated the Rooney Rule in 2 separate ways. So not only did they have an agreement with John Gruden before Christmas, and before interviewing minority candidates, the second way they violated it is that the minority candidates that they did interview, mind you, it is not black candidates, it's minorities. That's why Ron Rivera got the head coaching job in Carolina, because he got an interview. So you have to think about the timeline of this. So the second way that they violated the Rooney Rule was with the general manager. So McKenzie, he interviewed Bobby Johnson and he interviewed T. Martin, who's USC's offensive coordinator. So, but the rule also says that the interviews have to be conducted at the same level of decision maker. And the owner was involved with John Gruden. The owner was not involved in those. That's a problem, people. That is a problem. And people ask me questions, and I wanted to get to specifically these questions that people ask me about it. They asked me, one person said, as a man of faith, do you not believe that the Rooney Rule makes a mockery of both parties? There has to be a better way. So what the Rooney Rule does in the NFL is that minority candidates weren't given, despite being super qualified as coordinators, quarterback coaches, all this stuff, they weren't given the interviews. You don't get interviews, you can't get a job. So it just forces teams to expand their coaching search, which can only help the teams, which can only help the league. So there's nothing wrong with it in that way. It's actually very positive. It's like if you own stock in IBM, you own stock in Google, you own stock in Apple, Twitter, whatever the hell it is that you own stock in. They're getting a new CEO. Would you have a problem if they were forced to interview minority candidates or women candidates or anything like that? No, because you actually might mess around, even though they have an idea of who they want. They bring in those other people. They might be like, oh, well, hold up. Might have found something here. Or get some independent thought, find another role for those people as well. Got to think about it. It's bigger than that. Somebody else asked, they said, would it be insulting for a black coach candidate to even interview for a job, knowing that the Raiders already know who they're getting? I'm not trying to argue, but it just seems like no one would want to waste their time going for it. Yes, it does. It's worth the waste of time. Because let's say that George Reister is going to go interview for the Raiders. And it comes out publicly that George Reister's interviewing for the Raiders. So guess what? Even though I may not get that Raiders job, the next time a head coaching job becomes available or general manager, whatever it is that I'm interviewing for, my name is buzzing already. They're like, oh man, he interviewed for the Raiders job already. He must be good. Kind of the same way that you do with the other candidates. I mean, it's kind of like the same reason why you thought that Sean McVay was a good coach. Because he interviewed before and they're like, oh, okay, he's good. Same way that you heard about, whatever other coach. Because you know that their name is buzzing. Same way. Somebody said that the Raiders, that they really shouldn't be punished because they have selected the first black quarterback. I didn't check and make sure all these stats are correct, but you let me know if you see something that's not correct or hear it. They said that they selected the first black quarterback in the first round, the first black head coach, first Hispanic starting quarterback, first female CEO, and the first team in the 60s not to do business with hotels that segregated players. Raiders have always been colorblind. Here's what I say about that. Yes, the Raiders have done a good job historically about these things. But guess what? You still violated the rule. I have been a law-abiding citizen my 36 years on, well, mostly law-abiding, but just joking. Have not been a criminal. So do I get credit if I've been doing that for 60 years and then all of a sudden I go murder somebody or I rob a bank? Should I then not go to jail? No, dude, you broke the law. You broke the rule. That's what it is. And it's the mentality, because this is a mentality episode. It's the mentality surrounding these whole things, is that for so long, they didn't think that blacks could be quarterbacks. So if they can't be quarterbacks, or even other minorities can't be quarterbacks, that it was the white man's cerebral thinking position. So what makes you think that they thought that black people or minorities could be head coaches? They didn't. They didn't at all. So that's why the mentality of this thing has to change. The mentality of it is that it slowly infuses into the culture saying, well, you know what? We just hired the best head coach. We just hired the best head coach. Don't worry about what the fans are going to think. Don't worry about this. Our job is to win football games. That's the way it's supposed to be. You guys, thank you guys for joining me. Unafraid Show, right or wrong, please swipe up, share the feed. Another team that's having a mentality problem is the Cavaliers. The Cavaliers are having a huge mentality problem because you saw last night that they were playing against the Toronto Raptors and the Cavaliers got boat raced. I mean, they absolutely got shellacked. You can use any term that you want. These dudes got, literally drowned by the Toronto Raptors. I think they ended up losing by 34. Like, the Cavs mentality is all jacked up. And I'll tell you this. Here's what's going on with this team. Because people don't always realize what's going on in sports. Like, they don't understand what's going on with the players when a team is losing, when a team is failing, or whatever. So, in addition to the fact that the Cavs are the worst defensive team in the NBA, Then Isaiah Thomas gets healthy. They add the worst defensive player in the league in Isaiah Thomas. What did you think would happen? The team is terrible on defense. They're worse than terrible on defense. Isaiah Thomas, if he has a bad shooting night, JR shooting 31%, they suck right now. They do. But it's not just the players and them getting players from the scratch and dent bin. It's the mentality. You have to look at people's motivations. What does Isaiah Thomas want right now? What is his motivation at all times? Number one, his motivation is respect. He's 5'9". Napoleon complex, they all want respect. All short guys want respect. I mean, tall guys and big guys want it too, but for smaller guys, that is like priority numero uno, because you get less of it because you're little. So that's Isaiah Thomas. In addition to respect, he wants a max contract. He wants $200 million. And no sane owner or general manager would pay Isaiah Thomas $200 million over 5 or 7 years or however long it is. Not happening. That would be silly. That would be flagrant. That would be mismanagement. But they are the Cavs, so who knows? They might do it. So that's what Isaiah Thomas wants. That's his mentality. Tristan Thompson. He's got a kid on the way. He's with a Kardashian. Trade rumors, maybe to the Clippers. His mentality. His head's all over the place. Got J.R. Smith. J.R. Smith's kid just almost died. And he's not shooting the ball very well. His mentality, and he just got a new contract. His mentality is like, listen, I'm maturing. I'm bigger than basketball. I am seeing things bigger and better in life now. That's where J.R. Smith's mentality is. Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade regrets going to Cleveland. He's like, damn, man, maybe I should have just went to Houston. I know I get to hang out with LeBron all the time, but damn, man, like this sucks. Coming off the bench, in the scratch and dent bin, that's where Dwayne Wade's mentality is. Kevin Love. Kevin Love's just complacent. Like, that's just the truth. That's where his mentality is. He knows that the Cavs will figure it out eventually. LeBron's the key. They'll get it done. All that. And LeBron's mentality is, bro, I can't wait to get on a team with some young dudes who show up and play every single night and play hard. I mean, but then I had people telling me about the mentality of the Raptors. They're like, no, the Raptors have it, dude. The Raptors have it. Like, this the best Raptors team that ever. No, man. The Raptors mentality is all jacked up too. Because the mentality of a Raptors fan has to suck. It has to suck. I mean, like, your mental stability has to suck. I mean, think about this. Think about knowing every single year that your team is good and that this is your best team ever, but you're still not good enough to win anything. That's what the Toronto Raptors are. That's their mentality. They like trick themselves into believing that now that DeMar DeRozan can shoot some three-pointers, that now all of a sudden that they are a contender in the East. No, they can't beat Boston. They can't beat Cleveland in the playoffs. It's not happening. And especially if Cleveland has home court advantage in a playoff series. That would be laughable at best. Another person who has an interesting mentality is Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant, and I quote, about the All-Star team. Because the All-Star team, the All-Star game is in LA this year. And Kevin Durant, and the leading vote getter in the East, leading vote getter in the West, they're going to pick teams. And I love it. I love that. I wish it would be television broadcast. I would love that. So they're going to pick the teams. Kevin Durant and Steph Curry are in the West, and they're 1-2 in votes. They're super close in votes. Curry's just a little bit over. And Kevin Durant does not want to be the one to pick teams. He said, I don't want to do it. I'd rather somebody else do it. It's cool to be an all-star, but all the extra stuff, I just want to play in the game. The new format is cool. A different way, a creative way, and that's good for the fans. But me, I'll let somebody else pick the teams. Let's think about this as well. Kevin Durant already said that he doesn't want to be a leader, doesn't really like being a leader and all that. That's okay, but his mentality is that of an assistant coach. And that's why when people start to throw Kevin Durant's name in the greatest player of all time conversation, I got to take it out because of comments like this. Got to take it out. Mind you, he might be one of the most talented, might finish up the leading scorer of all time. But the reality is that Kevin Durant is an assistant coach. Like an assistant coach who doesn't want to be a head coach. Because I know of at least 2 to 3 assistant coaches who have no desire to be head coaches. They don't want the additional responsibility. They don't want the additional media scrutiny. They don't want any of that. And that's what Kevin Durant wants. He doesn't want all this extra fluff and pump and circumstance and all that. He doesn't want it. It doesn't make you weak. It just makes you an assistant. Makes you an assistant pimp. Doesn't make you the main one, man. And that's where Kevin Durant is kind of suffering with his mentality. His mentality. But, you know, to each his own in that situation. The NFL playoffs are upon us. NFL playoffs are upon us. And the question keeps coming up. Who do you trust in the NFL playoffs? Who do you trust? Out of all the people in the NFL playoffs, out of all the quarterbacks in the NFL playoffs, who do you trust? What teams do you trust? And I sat there and thought about it. I'm sitting there thinking, like, who do I trust as a matter of fact? Because the first game that you got up is the Titans and the Patriots. The Patriots are a 13.5 point favorite. So if you're going to say who do you trust out of those people, I mean, of course you're going to get Tom Brady as somebody that you trust. Tom Brady is trustworthy. He's earned it. And I do not believe, I'll tell you this. I do not believe that the Patriots cover against the Titans. I think that we are going to be in for the shock of a lifetime. Not just in terms of the Titans winning, but they're going to keep this thing close. It is going to be a real football game. Football game. Somebody said that Tom Brady's going to be pissed off and focused after all the drama and the news coming out about his trainer and all that. It doesn't matter whether Tom Brady's pissed or not. The Titans, oh, man, listen, man. I know people are going to get upset I said this, but whatever, man. I'm sorry. This is what it is. It's like the dude from Goonies, right? If you guys ever seen Goonies. Goonies was a movie, and they had the big dude, the big funny looking dude, but he was like strong as an ox, right? Strong as an ox. But like he was like strong for no reason. He had a certain type of strength that you're not supposed to say. But that's the way the Titans are. Like, it is something about them. They are not a great team. Mike Mularkey's not the best coach that you've ever seen. But guess what? They find a way to win. They found a way to win enough games to get in the playoffs. And they found a way to win last week versus Kansas City. And I'm telling you, this is going to be like a miracle of epic proportions. I see, like, because I don't trust Mike Mularkey, the Titans coach. I trust Marcus Mariota, but I don't trust Mike Mularkey to do the right things, right? To put him in a position to be successful. So then it comes to, all right, so I say, I'm not calling an upset, but I am calling that the Titans will cover that 13.5 points. That's a lot of points. And I'm telling you this, I just believe that if the Titans allow Marcus Mariota to call plays again, they will be okay. They'll be just fine. Because I don't trust their coaching staff, but I trust Brady, but I think their team's in a little more disarray than people think. Next thing up, the Falcons and the Eagles. Eagles are +3. So the Eagles are getting 3 points, despite being the best team in the NFC this year. I know they lost their quarterback in Wentz, but here's what I'll tell you this. The mentality episode. Matt Ryan has the mentality of a guy who doesn't lose the game. He doesn't have the mentality of a guy who wins the game. That's what happened in the Super Bowl. Second half of the Super Bowl, Matt Ryan was like, let's not lose this thing. Let's complete passes. Let's not lose the game. It escaped him everything that they did in the first half to win the game. He went into protect mode. Can't protect until the game's over. Can't protect until the last 2 minutes of the game when you know you can run the game out. You're up by 14 points with 2 minutes left. Then you can worry about running the clock out. And that's what Matt Ryan doesn't have that. He's a don't lose guy. He's not a win guy. So I don't trust Matt Ryan. I trust the rest of the Falcons team. I don't trust Matt Ryan. And I don't trust Nick Foles, the Eagles quarterback. But I do trust Nick Foles to strike, to accidentally run into a great game. I trust Nick Foles to do that. So that's why I take the Eagles. I take the Eagles. I would take the Eagles straight up despite the 3 points. That's what I would do. The Jaguars and the Steelers. This is a game that I am 100% in on. I'm 100% in on this game because they have been giving us trash talk all week. You trash talk, I'm watching because I want to see who backs it up. Jalen Ramsey, AJ Bouye, and the Steelers are a tough-ass team, and they are going to, it is going to be a gang fight in the middle of the street, like a breakdance fight, like Michael Jackson's Bad. This is gonna get real physical. How do I think Antonio Brown's gonna do coming back from injury? If Antonio Brown is back, Antonio Brown's gonna be Antonio Brown. I mean, even 95% of Antonio Brown is better than 90% of everybody else. And who do I believe in? The mentality of the Jaguars. The mentality of the Jaguars is these dudes are too young and stupid to really realize how big this game is. They're too young and stupid. They just are just running around town just yeah, we the man, we can do this. They believe they can win the Super Bowl. That's the best thing about them, about being young and innocent. You're not jaded by how difficult that this is to do. And that's where the Jaguars are because I don't trust Blake Bortles. I do not trust a quarterback who throws for under 100 yards and rushes for more yards than he threw for. And they win a game. You can't trust a guy like that. You can't trust Blake Bortles. And then he doubled down and said, some people, they're never going to like me. I understand that. Some people don't like LeBron James. What? Yeah, that's a true statement. Some people don't like LeBron James. But but you can't knock LeBron James' game because the man is one of the 5 best players of all time. Blake Bortles, you aren't one of the, you could be second best quarterback on your team. So yeah, so stop the LeBron comments. And I don't trust you, Blake Bortles. Wish I did, but I don't. You know who I do trust? I trust Ben Roethlisberger. I trust Ben Roethlisberger to start slow and then come back and win the game. That's what I trust Ben Roethlisberger to do. Somebody made a comment about the moment being too big for Blake Bortles. Every moment feels like it's too big for Blake Bortles. Sometimes he accidentally runs into big plays or a guy breaks a tackle on a screen and goes 80 yards and then his numbers are inflated. Or he'll make a good pass and they would have busted coverage. This is not a guy who can thread the needle and win the game for you. It's not happening. He's the guy who loses the game for you when everybody else played good enough to win. So the only way that the Steelers, okay, here's how this game was going to go. The Steelers are 7-point favorites. The Steelers are 7-point favorites. And here's the way this game works. This is going to be a boom or bust game for the Steelers. They're either going to absolutely destroy the Jaguars because Blake Bortles is just not good enough. Or Ben Roethlisberger starts slowly and then finds a way and then just isn't able to make the plays. Like, that's just what it is. And then the Jaguars can win that game. And if Ben Roethlisberger loses this game, I think the probability of him coming back for next year dramatically increases. I don't think he's going to retire if he loses. If the Steelers win the Super Bowl, say bye-bye to Ben. Say bye to Ben. I think he's out of there. The last game up of the weekend, though, is the Saints and the Vikings. The Vikings are 5-point favorites. I can't understand why. Case Keenum is okay, not great. He's due for, he has to come back down to earth at some point in time. And unfortunately for the Vikings, this is going to be he's going to be this year's Blair Walsh. You know how Blair Walsh a couple years ago missed a kick against the Seattle Seahawks? Hadn't missed a kick all year. Chip shot, bing, you lose the game. I mean, just a chip shot, like a 20-some yarder. Miss it. No bueno, buddy. That's what's going to happen to the Vikings. Case Keenum is going to pull a Blair Walsh. Saints win. The game's played in the dome. Drew Brees is absolutely going to just destroy this team. I mean, whether it's Drew Brees or whether it's Kamara or Ingram, this is going to get ugly. This is going to get ugly. I know the Vikings defense is good, but this is not going to end well for them. This is not going to end well. Moving on, though, to the mentality. Back to the mentality, all these things. Oh, because I was going to say, back to trust and not trust, the mentality. I trust Drew Brees. I do not trust Case Keenum. I have no reason to trust Case Keenum. His history says do not trust him. He'll lead you astray. Kids, though. Moving on to kids. The first kids that we're going to talk about is the Los Angeles Lakers. The kids that are the Lakers. They're winning 3 straight games against the Hawks, the Kings, and the Spurs. 2 of those teams are not good teams, the Hawks and the Kings. But the important thing is they lost 9 games and now they've won 3 games in a row, and they've won kind of convincingly in all of them. So with all this talk about LeVar Ball, Lonzo Ball maybe being traded, Magic Johnson lighting a fire under their ass, LeVar Ball keeps talking even from Lithuania, whatever it is, right? Why is this team winning? The team is winning because they were going through the motions and now they have a mission, the mentality. These are kids who have now some additional motivation. LeVar came out and said that they don't believe in Luke Walton, but they like Luke Walton, so they're going to fight for Luke Walton. They want to show they're not bums. All of this, that's their mentality. The Similac crew got focused. Yes, they were playing bad teams, but they're now more focused. Lonzo's still kind of up and down. 2 games ago, good game. Next game didn't shoot well. You know, his mentality is, I have a broken shot and I'm not going to change it. Hopefully he changes it in the offseason, but that's their mentality. That's the Similac crew. That's the kids. To go on with the kids, though, I was talking to some kids the other day at a high school, and all of them were talking about success, how they want to blow up, how they want to win championships, how they want to do all of this. And the one thing I took from it was this, is that these kids, they want success. The kids definitely want success out in the world. They want success out in life. But they want success. They want to win the Super Bowl. They're willing to work for all of those things, but they're not worried about consistency. They don't value consistency and longevity. They don't value that on the same level because, there's a difference between a success, because you can be a success and win the Super Bowl. You can have a one hit. You can, be the Marlins in baseball. You win the Super Bowl. You win the championship. Then the next year again, you suck. Don't make the playoffs. Miss the playoffs 13 straight years. That's what you could be. So these kids don't value consistency on the same way that they should and they need to. They just value They just value the actual, they value the success, but not the consistency. Because they'll look down on Karl Malone and Charles Barkley for not winning a championship, despite these being some of the best players of all time. They don't value the longevity and consistency of greatness. But they will value, the Marlins have a championship. Look at Jeremy Lin. Jeremy Lin had the greatest 2 weeks in basketball history. He's viral, and now he's rich. But come on, man. The consistency has to be valued higher than the success. Because if you can be great 10, 15, 20 years, then that's what it is. Look at Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, only one Super Bowl. Guess what? Dude is fantastic year in and year out. So would you rather be Aaron Rodgers with one Super Bowl? Let's say he finishes his career with one Super Bowl and continues to play at the high level that he is, but because of the team around him or circumstance or whatever the hell it is, he doesn't get another championship despite playing well all the time, even in the playoffs. Would you rather be Aaron Rodgers or would you rather be Eli Manning? Eli Manning, much maligned, doesn't show up all the time, team doesn't get to the playoffs that much. Which guy would you rather be? Give me Aaron Rodgers. That's who I choose. Because I value consistency over just short-term success. Figure out where your mentality is at. Thank you guys for joining me today. Unafraid Show, Reister or Wrong. George Reister here. Please make sure you like the feed, share the feed, download the podcast when you get a shot. We will catch you guys later.